if you are starting out, so let me just get you really tactical. So we were just really clouds for a second. Let me just get you tactical. Number one, you can go and set up all of your autos of incorporation, your LLC, and all that stuff online with a few clicks of a button in under 30 minutes. So you do that as step one. Step two, you take those papers to a bank and you get a bank account. Step three, you hook up a payment processor to that bank account, which is, again, a series of clicks that nowadays are almost automated. Once you have those three things, you get a stranger to give you money in exchange for doing something for them. And so I would categorize businesses as I see them, usually as you either sell products, you sell services, so physical products, something like a mug, right? You sell services, you do something that they would otherwise have to do for them. You write software that does something that a human would do for them, but because you have automation with code, you can get them to do it, or you create things that entertain people that they want to have access to. And so those basically function into media. Again, you've got people, products, code, and content. So it actually breaks out to those four types of businesses. And I think that most people, if you have like, let's say you aren't a software developer, right? And you want to start a business, the easiest ones to start are the easiest one to start is a service business, because it only requires your time and you to learn a skill that other people can also learn, but some people just might not want to do it. And that is all you need to solve. And I remember, like, when I was in college and I spoke at some universities for entrepreneurship, and everyone there is always like, here's my business idea, right? And it's always like weird widgets and gizmos and like these never before seen businesses. And most of those will fail. Whereas, like, if you want to make your first business, and the big fallacy is that the first is going to be the forever business, which it won't. Most entrepreneurs have many businesses over their career, and each business you learn elements that help you build a bigger and better business the next time. And so you start with something that people already buy. So it's like, you can look, what do people already buy? They already buy lawn care services. They could mow their lawn, they just choose not to. They could optimize their website for SEO, they just choose not to. They could run their own ads, they just choose not to. They could edit their own videos, they just choose not to. You could set up email, autoresponders for people, but they choose not to. You could set up voicemails for businesses and transcribe it and send it to them, because for those people, it saves them time. And so you can pick any problem you want that someone already does or already purchases, look at the solutions, and you can literally just do it the same way and have a way to get customers. That's it. Like, that's it. You just reach out to people that you know one-on-one, you reach out to strangers one-on-one, you make content about the problem, and you run ads. There's the only four things that you can do to let other people know about your stuff. So once you decide what you have to sell, you then use the core four, one of them, pick, and then you let people know about it until eventually someone says, yeah, I'd be interested in you solving that problem for me. And that's how you make your first dollar.
All right, focus becomes the problem. People end up getting really scattered. They want to try a bunch of different things and see what sticks. How do you make focus work for you and not against you?
I feel like focus can only work for you.
Well, I guess lack of focus is
right.
the nightmare scenario most people spend their time in.
Yeah, I think it's, so I love showing this visual, and maybe we can grab it at post for this, but if you imagine a curve, right, where you go, you start here, a little bit above the line at uninformed optimism, is that you see your buddies doing drop shipping and he's making money. And so you're like, wow, this must be amazing. I will do that too. So then you leave your current opportunity to do, or maybe you start doing that. Then you move to stage two. So you go over the hump of excitement, and then you go to informed pessimism. Now you're below the line. Then you're like, wow, okay, there's a lot of other stuff that's really competitive. I don't have a brand. It's hard to differentiate. The cost of goods is actually continuing to rise, and so are ad costs, and blah, blah, blah. You start realizing the other things that you didn't know before. So you have a slightly more realistic view of the opportunity. Then you go to stage three, which is the valley of despair, where you're like, nothing's working. I don't know what I'm doing. And this point is where everyone then jumps to uninformed optimism and the next opportunity. And they repeat 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, until they're eventually able to learn that they just need to stomach, because every single business has shit. And when the grass is green on the other side, it's because there's lots of manure there, right? Same as yours. And then you go up to informed optimism, and then you hit achievement. And so those are the 5 stages that I see most entrepreneurs going through, and they continue to cycle the first 3 over and over again until they learn the lesson. So this is a skill, focus is a skill. I can train someone to do it. If you're in the same environment and you're at this point where you're not sure what to do, but other people have succeeded at this thing, and then you think something else is easier that you find out about, That is a stimulus that we can then say, here's the red flashcard. Are you going to duck or are you going to get slapped? And realistically, most people just need to keep getting slapped until eventually they realize that nothing is going to be easy and they have to go through the period of not knowing what they're doing. Because that's like, that in essence is what entrepreneurship feels like, is uncertainty of whether or not all of the time that you've put in is actually going to work out. And you have to get really comfortable with that, is that you won't know. Because if you were to be guaranteed the outcome that you're going to get what you want, you wouldn't want to do it to begin with, because everyone would already be doing it because it's already guaranteed, which means the opportunity is gone. So the opportunity is in the uncertainty. And so as long as you can embrace that, which is why you have to have some tolerance for risk as an entrepreneur, because you have to pay down your tax of ignorance, which we all have to pay down every single day for not knowing the things we should know. And the only way you pay down that tax is that you test and you iterate. And so you just want to get as many no's out of the way, as many failures out of the way, because you're not actually failing. You made progress. It wasn't yes or no, did it work or not? It's how well did it work? And I think if you can make even that frame shift, you're like, okay, well, I'm reaching out to people, they're responding, but I'm not getting them on the phone. Okay, well then you have a scripting issue. Okay, then you get them on the phone. Okay, well, they're not buying. Okay, well, then it might be an offer issue. It still might be a sales issue. Depends on why they're not buying. If they're saying, it's price, it's like you might be mispriced, but you also might just be really terrible at explaining the value. And so you just continue to work your way down until eventually someone's like, yeah, that sounds good. And they read you their credit card over the phone and you're like, holy shit, this is actually happening. And you make your first dollar. And I promise you, after you make your first dollar, the second one comes 100 times faster than the first one did.